Hello and welcome to the cellblock Scorch. This is week 215B, inmates. I'm Red and I'm recording today's episode. The prompt was, being an individual is really hard and I have to do it almost all of the time. It was given by Grishmak and judged by him as well. The name of this work is Separate. Rick knew, logically speaking, that he should be happy to no longer be controlled by a strange alien hive mind monster. But it was kind of awful always being by himself. Even if people were around, it felt wrong. He didn't know that they were all on the same page, and he didn't know what to do or say in normal social interactions. It was different for the other people freed from it. They hadn't spent all of their life surrounded by the answer. All the other people who were affected were overjoyed to have free will and mobility and no longer have an intense fear of fire. And that part was nice. Rick rather liked fire. No one understood how he felt. It felt like all the connections he ever made in his life had been cut off, leaving him with no way to tell people that he loved and cared about how he felt and unable to understand them. Rick! It was getting late. I was almost worried. Rick did his best to smile. Amelia was the love of his life, but he didn't feel connected to her like he used to. He loved her still, her smile and the way she tied up her hair when she cooked. Now, on their gas-powered stove. But he couldn't feel her love for him anymore. He didn't know what she wanted before she spoke, and he didn't know how to ask for what he wanted. Sorry, traffic was pretty bad. She looked back at him, and he knew he should be able to tell what that look meant, but without the hive mind confirming his assumptions, he felt out of his depth. Was she angry, concerned, happy? Amelia gently took his hand and led him over to the couch, making him sit down before taking her place next to him. What's wrong? Nothing, really. She gave him the same look again. Ricky, please, tell me what's been bothering you. It's stupid. He winced. He sounded like a pouting kid. Nothing you do or think is stupid. Come on, I'm the love of your life. If you can't tell me anything, how am I supposed to help? Everyone else seems to understand what's happening all of the time, but I don't. People will look at me in public, and I won't know what they're thinking about me, and my boss will tell me to do something, but I always do something wrong, and I don't understand because I always do exactly what he tells me to. You don't suck at being a person, you just need time to adjust. Being an individual is really hard, and I have to do it almost all the time. Can't I just not be an individual for a little while? Couldn't I have been eased into this whole being your own person thing? Amelia laughed. Rick relaxed. He hadn't realized how tense he'd gotten during his little rant. Honey, you don't need to be an individual all the time. When you're with me, we can be us, not you and I. I'll tell you everything I'm thinking, and you'll tell me everything you're thinking, until we can know without asking.
Hello, folks. It's Grishmak here with just a little bit of commentary about the story Separate. I picked this one for the win because I thought it really tackled the prompt in such an interesting way. It's really fascinating, the idea of someone who's reacting to an event differently than everyone around them, right? Like our guy Rick is really feeling this sense of loss and longing for no longer being attached to this hive mind, which the rest of humanity regards as just a good thing. They have free will. They're individual people like they used to be. And Rick is struggling with that. And I think in that struggle that's expressed here of like not knowing how people around him are feeling and not understanding social interactions, I think that also just spoke to something in me on a personal level that I've often felt, that same kind of struggle for connection. And just such a lovely, nice ending that, you know, he's struggling, but that's okay because there are people who care about him and are going to help him work through it. And so I just really loved the way this took the prompt in hand and went with such an interesting idea, but kept it on such a human and emotional level that it really spoke to me. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'm going to apologize for all future readings I do. It's going to be rough every single time. I have dyslexia, which is normally fine, but when I'm reading out loud, it's very obvious. But enough about me. From what I remember, I had kind of a hard time with this prompt. I really like how it turned out in the end, but at the time, I don't believe I knew quite what to do with it. There is no expansion on this as it is. It's just a nice little one-shot. And yeah. Also, Bones wanted me to tell you this. I was reading through this a couple days ago because I knew I had to record this. And I got to the end and I was like, oh my god. I just made some poor little autistic man. That's what Rick is. He's just some autistic guy who's trying his best. But that's really up to interpretation. Anyways, my prompt for next week is something. There it is. All people have experienced legs in one form or another. And yeah, that's about it. Keep that fire burning. That's what I'm supposed to say. Ooh, how fancy.
The Cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. We can be reached at thestellacore@gmail.com through comments on your podcast platform of choice, our Instagram, Stella_core, and at our YouTube, also called Stellacore. Feel free to check out our other productions on our YouTube channel, our cosplays on Instagram, or if you would like to support our creative endeavors, check out our Patreon or donate to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches.